I mean, it really, honestly, the whole thing with where the stadium is at, it's not. I'm not saying that it's a bad area. It's not a nice area. There's not a lot of things around it. That's, I think, one of the downfalls when they built it. Well, actually, that was a hockey stadium for the Lightning. Before it became what it is now. But at the time when the Lightning built it, there was things around it. Now there's houses around it now, and it's not the greatest housing in St. Pete. So they have a lot of crime down there. I mean, like I said, I grew up here. I went to high school down there. I never got bothered by anybody, but again, as they always told us, don't bother them, they don't bother you. And that's how that's how I did. I lived my life when I went to high school down there for 4 years. So if you don't bother the people that live down there or walk around down there, they won't bother you. And that's correct. And that was the same way when I was in New York. Same thing I was told is don't bother anybody, they won't bother you. And it was a pretty great experience, to be there. I would go back. I didn't get to see Times Square very much. There's a couple of spots I didn't get to see. So I would definitely go back to NY.
Now, when were you there?
I was there in August of 2008, 2010. It's been about 9 years ago, because when I was there, Lewis, they were building the foundation to the new Freedom Tower. I mean, they had excavated where the Twin Towers sat, moved all that rubble out of there, and they were building the foundation for now. The Freedom Tower sits there. That's now in its place. And when I was there, there was a wall for all the names, all the people that had, died on that day in New York, and the planes and the towers. Now I've noticed that they have like fountains now that have all the names of the people all the, firefighters, everybody that happened to lose their lives on that tragic day. But that was one of the first things that I wanted to see when I got off the plane. I hope that doesn't make me a bad person. It's just being that I grew up in Florida. That was a historic event, probably one of the, worst in my life. Hopefully I don't see anything like that in my lifetime again. I can't say with what's going on in the world today that I will not, but I was only 18 when that happened. So, I mean, that was 18 years ago. I'm 36 now, so that was 18 years ago. And
you're young compared to I am.
Yeah, and I mean, I won't, I won't forget where I was, because I was in school when it happened, and everybody was panicking, and I said, well, don't hit the panic button yet, unless they bomb MacDill Air Force Base, I think we're okay.
Well, because we went through the same thing when I was in high school when the Challenger disaster occurred.
I remember watching that on TV. Yes, I was very young.
I was 16.
Yeah, I was very, very young when that happened, but I remember that too.
I was having lunch.
Now, Lewis, what actually happened? Was it a booster that happened, or was it just the fact that the weather was too cool to launch that day?
It was probably a booster.
Okay. I mean, I've watched documentaries about it, and they give you a couple answers on what happened. So I'm not really sure what exactly happened to it. I mean, I also remember seeing the Columbian fall out of the sky too. The Columbia fall out of the sky too.
Yeah.
The shuttle fell out of space.
I was just coming back from the cafeteria, and I passed by, and we heard the. I was like, "Oh my goodness."
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, we go through history. Like, if obviously, me and you weren't allowed to see John F. Kennedy get shot.
No.
So, I mean, I guess it's the same thing with that. When you go through like historical moments in history and you're there, I don't think you ever forget where you were on the day. Like, so you had the Challenger explosion. I had 9/11. So you don't forget where you were when those instances occurred. So it's scary though, because
yes.
What did I hear today on the radio that there were people, I forget what state it was in, there 2 people got killed at some guy lost his and killed himself and killed 2 people.
I think it was actually yesterday.
It was yesterday, okay. The one thing that I think we all need to kind of focus on now is mental health. I think that's a big problem in the country, and we need to focus on that. we need to focus on that, because if
the mental state.
If we don't, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago with the shooting in New Jersey. You said in South Jersey at the football game. You're going to get to a point where you're going to be like, security checked everywhere you go, because you can't do anything. You can't just go. I mean, when I was younger, I went to football games, to the old Buck Stadium. They called it the old Sombrero, old Tampa Stadium. We never had to go through metal detectors. You could bring anything you wanted into a game. Now,
the only thing is that when you're playing against your rival team, it did get a little ugly, because it was like ready to have a fist fight.
Right. Okay.
Which of course is nothing new.
Right. Correct.
When your rivals didn't like you, they meant it.
Well, yeah. And that's with everything. I mean, that's at any level. That's high school, college, pros, whatever it might be. I mean, as I talked about earlier with the Freddie Kitchens thing, and I talked, to Adam, about that. I said the one thing that the Steelers need to do is just win. Don't worry about retaliating against Myles Garrett and the Browns. Just win the game. That's the way that you can beat them. Is just win the freaking football game, and they did anyway. But don't retaliate against them. But obviously,
I was thinking something was going to happen, though. I was thinking, well, this is a revenge game, but it didn't turn out that way. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
Me too. I think we were all kind of, waiting to see. I mean, I was watching football on Sunday, and I'm waiting for, my phone to go off, or, something to pop across the bottom of the screen that there's a fight going on. And I remember, I don't know if you remember the game in Cleveland against the Jaguars. This was when I forget who the quarterback was for the Browns, but there was a game that before the instant replay thing was involved, where you couldn't, if you ran a play, you can't replay the last play. Well, I guess this happened against and then the play didn't get called. They got called against Cleveland. They cleared the field because the fans in Cleveland threw bottles and God knows what else on the field. They canceled the game. Then they come they go into the tunnel for like 45 minutes. The NFL calls the referee and says, no, you have to finish the game. They had to come back out, take a knee, and then go back through the tunnel being, crap thrown at them.
Correct.
So it's weird, that, that was kind of the worst thing that could happen to you at a game back in the day. You're worried about getting hit with a beer bottle, or you're worried about getting in a fist fight with somebody. You never had to worry about someone shooting you with a gun or a bomb going off in a stadium. It was never like that. It was just, okay, I got to worry about, this jerk, hitting me with a beer bottle, or this guy's, And to me, I never really.
Or try to run me over the tailgate party.
That too. It never occurred to me to go to any kind of sporting event, whatever it was, hockey, baseball, whatever, to get into a fight. Because to me, at the end of the day, it's just a game. It's just a game. That's all it is.
Right.
It's a game. It's supposed to be entertainment for us. That's it. It's a game.
Yeah.
So what is
why escape from what's out there?
Right. Why should we go and get into a fight with somebody for no? And I'm not saying alcohol has everything to do with it. That's a big part of it. And I'm not saying that people that go to games, hey, if you go to a game and you want to get wasted, hey, if that's what you want to do, go do it. Have fun, enjoy it. Just don't get into a fight with somebody and cause a scene.
Right.
Don't embarrass yourself or your girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife or whatever. Don't do that. Just go and enjoy the game. That's what all of us are doing. All of us are going just to go to the game.
Well, I don't see why they can't enjoy the game without getting drunk.
Well, that too. I agree, Lewis. I agree with you wholeheartedly about that.
Yeah. You needed to
I
be
mean,
drunk to enjoy it? I don't think so.
I had my first and only trip to Madison Square Garden was the Rangers Islanders game, and that's when I was on that
Ah,
vacation I told you about. And there was a guy that stood behind me. He was out with his buddies, and he had drank Southern Comfort before the game. And for the entire first period,
ew.
he had his head down underneath his jacket, and he was dry heaving and throwing up the entire
Mm.
first period of that game. Then, and then the second period, he's drinking water, just sitting there or whatever, and it seems like he's getting over being sick.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, in the third period, he's popping beers with his buddies, and I'm like, you obviously didn't learn your lesson, did you? You got sick the entire, first 30, 45 minutes of that hockey game, and then you're back to drinking beer. So obviously you have a death wish. I don't get that.
They give him a 5-minute major for that?
Yeah.
And a game misconduct? No.
Yeah. Well,
that,
and the funny thing is, I'll remember that. That'll be a memory that I'll have, Lewis. Every time if I get MSG, it'll be a memory that I'll have.
I told you what happened to me in a Met game once, right?
No, you didn't tell me. You're talking about that shit?
Okay, you're gonna love this.
Okay.
Well, I was with a group. It was a summer program in Long Island, New York. It was the summer of 1989.
Okay.
Hot as hell. That whole summer was actually. We had some rain in the morning, major rain, and it was one of those rare days where both the Yankees and Mets were playing at home. So we took a vote to decide where to go. Majority vote was for the Mets. And, of course, the Mets are closer to Long Island than Yankee Stadium. So,
correct.
So it's 95 degrees on a Sunday afternoon. I board out of my gourd, and around 50,000 fans or so. And even the group I was with knew I wasn't enjoying it because I'm a Yankee fan. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody spills their beer, and guess who gets the shower? Me! I'm like, how this guy know was a Yankee fan? I have no idea. How do you know?
So he gave you a beer shower because you're a Yankee fan?
He must have knew. I don't know how he knew, but he knew.
Oh, my God.
All that ride home, when I was thinking when I was being all drenched or anything, how this guy know was a Yankee fan? I just don't believe it. Do Mets fans smell Yankee fans or something?
Maybe they have that intuition. I don't know. I mean,
maybe they do.
That is.
I smell a Yankee fan.
In all honesty, Lewis, that is one of the worst, nightmares I have at a game. It's just being an innocent fan. You're sitting there, and you happen to be the fan of an opposing team, and someone just says, "Yep, I'm going to dump my beer on this guy," and you have to go home smelling like that.
Oh, the whole group was like, "The beer's on you, pal." Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I had a shower that day too.
Right. Well, I mean, so what did you do? You just sat there? Did you retaliate in any way, or?
No, I didn't. I didn't retaliate anything. I'm like, get me home.
Well, that's the smart thing to do. At least you did the smart thing.
Well, we left shortly after. I mean, the game was out of reach. I mean, the Mets won that game, so they were happy. Of course, I was not.
Right.
Don't forget, this was back at the time when the Mets were actually decent.
So you weren't wearing any Yankee gear, right?
No.
Okay, so that's the question I have is how did they know you were a Yankee fan?
I guess they figured they had some intuition because I was not happy with watching the game because it was the Mets. I'm like, you know what? I smell a phony here. I think this guy's a Yankee fan. I got my beer. I'm gonna dump it on this bum. Ugh.
Well, but see, and to me, what was the point in that? Other than the guy wasted his beer.
Spite, fool.
What is the point?
Spite. That's what the point is. It's spite.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't get that, and I would never do that to any fan either. Even if you were an opposing fan and we were at a game together, I'm not going to dump beer on you because you're cheering for the other team. And I know how, and first of all, we all know that the Mets are always going to be the little brother compared to the Yankees. That's not going to change.
Oh, of course. Oh, of
That'll
course
never
not.
change. Same thing with Chicago. The Cubs will always be the big brother. The White Sox are the